In this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to remember a speech. You can be a very experienced speaker, but there can be times when even experienced speakers can be standing in front of an audience and their minds go inexplicably blank. So what do? Look, it can be stressful if you don't have a plan, but that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to give you a plan. And the very first thing you have to understand is that to deal with the day when you may blank on a part of your speech, you should be prepared for it well in advance by practicing the speech with a keyword outline. By a keyword outline, I mean that you could take a version of your speech in full sentences and pull out just 2 or 3 words from each sentence that arouse you emotionally and make it easier to recall that part of the speech. And by the way, this is the only time when you should ever be using an outline with sentences written out in full. That is, unless you are intentionally reading something that's a statement or an apology, a formal thing like that. Generally, though, you should always be trying to speak to your keywords to bring fresh language and more spontaneous thought to your speech to engage the audience. However, if you are speaking and you forget what you want to say next, do these 5 things. First thing is don't panic. The second thing is freeze. Just be motionless. The crowd won't mind if you're just standing still. You may have seen actors doing outdoor performances who have to do this when an airplane flies overhead, right? Because of the noise. And the audience understands that the action is being frozen. It's the same kind of thing here. The third thing to do is then to backtrack in your mind through your keywords. And you keep going until you come to the 4th step, which is you'll finally remember part of the speech, and then you go forward again in your mind. And you keep going until you find your place, and when you do that, you start speaking again. But there is one other very important thing that you have to do, not only if you forget your words, but if you make any kind of a flub when you're speaking publicly, and that's don't apologize. You don't owe the audience an apology. It's your stage. Apologizing may only draw attention unnecessarily to something that the audience doesn't even notice. And also, you have to understand that it's important that you look like a leader at all times, and apologizing only undermines that if it's not warranted. The other thing to do is that you must use your practice time to keep adjusting and changing the keywords until they feel right. If you're saying the speech and it's a little awkward, get rid of the word. There's no reason for you to keep a word if it's not working for you. You don't want to discover when you're in the middle of performing the speech to a crowd that it's a word you should have changed because it's making it hard for you to recall the text of what you want to say. Another thing you can do is to try practicing at twice the normal speed. It's like being on the highway and driving at 70 miles an hour instead of at 35 miles an hour. Your brain is working twice as hard, and as a result, you're getting the speech into your brain much more efficiently. All right. To sum up, I understand it can be very stressful to lose your place in the midst of doing a presentation, but I assure you, if you follow these tips, you will be all right. And that's it. I'll see you in the next lesson.